All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Red, White News Show with your host, the military medium. I have with me today, across the country, if you will, Yvonne Coombes. She is currently the Armed Forces Insurance Army Spouse of the Year. And, by the time this airs, the cat will already be out of the bag. She will also be announced as the Armed Forces Military Spouse of the Year. Is that right, Yvonne?
Well, we're hoping. So there are
hoping.
6 branch representatives. There are 6 branch representatives that are in the final running for the overall Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year. And we're hoping that it'll be the Army taking it home.
Okay, so they're making the determination this Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because as we're recording this, of course, we're in the last day of April before we march into May. And well, good luck to you in that endeavor. And it was so interesting. My buddy Patrick has had you on, and as we were chatting too, is that, we were chatting about my previous guest as well, about the Armed Forces Insurance Army Spouse of the Year. Seems like a common theme, but where you guys have made some connections as well. But share with us a little bit, who is Yvonne Coombes and what is Operation Deploy the Dress?
Okay. So Yvonne Coombes, that's me. I'm an Army spouse of 19 years.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you for your service as well. We have lived all over the country. We have gone overseas twice, both times to Canada. I know that's a little bit different for the U.S. forces, but that's where we were sent overseas. So we've not been actually over a sea, but we have been considered overseas twice to Canada. And we have 2 children, both boys, 22 and 14. And honestly, we love the military, and we love the community and the camaraderie that we've built as our time as a military family. And so that leads us to Operation Deploy Your Dress. About 4 years ago, I was with some friends, and we had some military balls coming up, and we were talking about how important these types of events are for that camaraderie building and that community building, and how important it is for military spouses to have that connection to the unit and to other family members in that unit as well. And so we wanted to figure out a way to help get those family members to these balls. They can be a little bit pricey sometimes, between buying a ball dress and getting a babysitter and buying tickets. And, so we wanted to figure out a way that we could help cut that cost to hopefully boost that attendance. It wasn't just about getting, what do they say, butts and seats. It was really about getting people there to make those good, solid connections and to experience that tradition. And so Operation Deploy Your Dress was accidentally born. It was supposed to be a 2-day event that we got a lot of support from. Mm-hmm. We realized that the need was there, the desire to help was there. And 4 years later, we are still going strong. What we do is we collect dresses from all over the country, civilians, military people, everybody send us their dresses. And we put them in shops just like this one that we're in today here in Fort Carson. And we open our doors to military ID card holders and their families for them to come in and get these dresses 100% free of charge. Wow. So that they can attend these events.
Very cool. Not that it matters, Yvonne, but I was curious, is your husband enlisted or is he an officer?
My husband is an officer. He is currently a battalion commander here at Fort Carson, Colorado.
Well, one of the things, this is the reason that I ask, is that a lot of people don't realize this if they don't come from the military world. And of course, I came from the enlisted world on the Army side, but, especially in an officer's career, it might not be mandatory for the spouse, but however, attending a lot of these events are mandatory for the military member, right? The what we used to call the mandatory fun type events. And but also on the social side of the house, it is very vital to especially a officer's career. And I was always told as even as a young soldier saying, um, if you're senior enlisted or if you're an officer, it does your, how do I want to say, your career well. If your spouse is in attendance with a lot of these events, so they can network and meet and greet a lot of other folks. Have you found that's been true as well? There's a lot of, how do I want to say, networking and building that, I guess, camaraderie on these social functions. Is there kind of not only vital to, in a sense, your husband's career, but also the camaraderie between the wives and the folks that attend as well?
So yeah, I personally can't speak to if I'm helping my husband's career or hurting my husband's career by
Right.
attending these events.
Right.
But I can tell you that yes, that networking and that camaraderie is
Right.
absolutely built at events like this. And what I can also tell you is, at least in our household, when our family is happy, my husband is happy and able to do his job better, right? And
Right.
so when I'm connected into my community and I feel like I'm a part of that community and I feel like I have friends and I'm bonded into that community, I'm happier where I live.
Right.
And when I'm happier, he's able to relax and do his
Right.
job better.
Right. Right. Well, it's interesting too, is I know a lot of people, especially in the family readiness groups within the military, attending some of these formal functions is very important. And I know a lot of units put a lot of, how do I say, culminate the year's events or different special projects with these formal functions, whatever they may be, whether it's a dining out or the annual Christmas party or what have you. And I know there's so many. And so what I think that you guys are doing is just so phenomenal that, providing spouses with which I think is so cool, free of charge, um, you know, service. And, how did this, and I know you shared a little bit, but, like the birth of this, was this just something that's like, hey, people are looking for dresses. They're so incredibly expensive for wearing to one or two events. And then, you know,
Yeah. So many people have a dress sitting in their closet that they wore to a wedding as a bridesmaid, or that, I've worn to a ball previously that maybe I've outgrown or I'm just not going to wear again, or whatever the case may be. But those types of dresses, that type of attire, may have some special memories wrapped around it. And so we don't want to just take it to a thrift store. Don't want to just discard it, right?
right,
So we hang on to it forever in our closet. And so we were talking about that and how, well, we have a few dresses that we could give to somebody if they needed a dress, or I have a few dresses. I bet our neighbor has some dresses. And it's not uncommon on a military installation to do a dress swap where, oh, you wore this dress to the last ball, and I wore this dress the last ball, and we're the same size. Let's just swap so that we can wear something different and feel like we're wearing something new, right?
sure,
And so essentially what we did was just a giant dress swap. We wanted to collect some dresses from our friends and neighbors and put them up in a community center for a couple of days on a weekend and distribute them to people in the community that needed them. We were just going to do a big version of a dress swap. But like I said earlier, we got a little bit of national media attention that made it explode a little bit quicker than we expected. So instead of collecting a couple hundred dresses, we collected a few thousand dresses and
wow,
knew that they weren't going to go away in a weekend. So we set up a little shop with the help, meaning our garrison commander allowed us to use a space on post, and we set up a little shop and just started distributing them weekly out of that shop.
very cool. That's And have you noticed, like, I know you talk almost becoming if you want to use a term, your best friend's closet, right? On a larger scale of saying just swapping dresses. But have you noticed like making a difference beyond just, hey, I got a different outfit to wear, as far as emotional or those types of things?
Absolutely. There's a couple of things that we didn't expect out of this. One, we didn't expect this to be right now. We're 7 shops strong around the country, about to open 2 more in the fall. But we didn't expect the family that would build around our volunteers that come in to be here. And um, yes, the emotional um, growth that somebody has when when they're able to connect to their unit, connect to other families in their unit, and they come back to us and say, I had such a great time and I made a friend and I'd been here for 8 months and I didn't know anybody until that point. And so those are the types of things that are so exciting to hear. But another thing that we didn't really expect, and it's kind of a hot topic right now, I guess, for lack of better terms, with military spouses, is we have unemployment or underemployment issues in military spouses. And we are giving military spouses tangible, transferable skills that they can take out whenever they are ready to go and get a job. Maybe they don't have the time to have a job, like a full-time job, but they can still come in here and volunteer with us, and they're keeping inventory and they're managing a shop and they're doing customer service and all of those things that they can then use on a resume and transfer into a job when they are ready to have a job. And so these are all things that we didn't expect. We thought we were just going to hand somebody a dress and, feel good about ourselves and make them
Right.
feel good about themselves. But really, it's more than a dress.
Right, right. Well, and and the thing is too, is a lot of people look at, volunteer hours as well, right? As well as building that resume as far as skills and abilities, as far as what they can apply out in the civilian population. So I think that's really awesome. So talk to us a little bit. You said now that you guys have expanded 7 shops throughout the country, 2 more opening hopefully this fall,
Yes.
depending on what goes on with all this COVID stuff. Talk to us a little bit of the locations and some of the hurdles and challenges that you might have experienced thus far.
Yep. So we have locations. I'll just name them off right quick. We've got Fort Bliss, Texas. We have Fort Eustis, Virginia. We have JBLM, Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington, in Washington State. Fort Irwin, California, out in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Fort Georgia, not Fort Georgia. That's not a place. Fort Benning, Georgia. Fort Stewart, Georgia, and Fort Carson, Colorado. And then the other 2 that will open, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the fall are Fort Hood, Texas, and Fort Drum, New York. And so we're spread out all over. The hurdles have been really just making sure that people know that we're there, because we've had an amazing volunteer pool that jumps in any place that we go and says,
Sure.
let's do this, let's make this happen. We've had awesome support from dress companies and civilians and military people from around the country saying, you've got a shop opening up, let's get inventory into that shop. So it's really, once we get that word out that we're there and that people know that we're there, it kind of just goes like wildfire. So, when you deal with free dresses, your budget is pretty small
Right.
because we're not bringing in money, right? And so we don't have a big budget for marketing and communications and, to get the word out. So we depend a lot on social media and word of mouth. And so really once that's our main hurdle, is just getting the word out that we exist. But
Right.
we've had a lot of media that's come in behind us and said, hey, let's tell your story. And so we're really having a lot of fun with it. And it really seems to be rolling along.
Well, that's really cool, because I think when you're doing, what you love or what you feel guided from the heart, right? A lot of people will see that. And, like I shared is, I had seen that my buddy Patrick had given you guys a interview, and I was kind of watching um, everything with that. And I was like, this is really interesting. And of course, I checked into it and I was like, wow. And I would think, and I would hope that other media sources are doing the same thing. When somebody is leading from the heart and they're just going from a heart place of doing, hey, this is the right thing to do, or I feel guided to do this. They can feel that, right? And it's like, this is a legit, these people are leading, with their heart, so to speak. And that's so awesome to see that, it's everything's coming to fruition. I do want to ask though, is so the bases that you mentioned are all Army primarily. Is there any talk about any other branches of service potentially coming in the future? Is there any talk about that?
So absolutely, we would love to get on other branches installations. We are on 2 joint bases, and on those 2 joint bases, we do serve
Sure.
actually more of the other branches than we do Army. And we have served all branches of military families. But we're 5 Army spouses that started this, and our connections are with Army people, right? So
Sure.
it's about networking. We talked earlier about networking and connections. And for 19 years, I networked and connected with Army people. And so when I need something, or when one of the co-founders needs something, they pick up the phone and they call one of their Army connections to say, hey,
Sure.
we're looking to expand. What do we have? So we need to be able to make those connections outside of the Army so that we can get into those other installations. And that's one of the great things about the Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year is it is a very purple program. By purple meaning all branches of service.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think this will be a good opportunity for us to make connections with other branches of service spouses and other branches of service personnel, and see about getting into those other installations.
Yvonne, if somebody is sitting out there and being like, "Oh my God," they happen to listen to this or see this, whatever, is how can they say, if they're a Marine Corps or Navy, Air Force, doesn't matter what branch, but saying, "Oh my God, this is needed on our installation or our post or our whatever your branch calls it," right?
Yeah.
How do they do that? What's their first step? What should be their first step?
I think their first step would be going to our website, operationdeployyourdress.org. You can send us a message. So we have interest query packets, and we have all kinds of information that we can send to somebody and say, these are the steps that it takes to get an Operation Deploy Your Dress on your installation. Here's all the information that you need, and let's get the ball rolling.
Nice, nice. And how many years, again, I think you shared it earlier, but if you could, how many years has this been, the initial movement been going for Operation Deploy Your Dress?
4 years.
4 years.
4
Wow.
years.
In 4 years, you're in 7 installations, 2 more coming in the fall. That is crazy. That is like a crazy timeline, right? To get
Dean, we're
those.
we're Army spouses. Does that surprise you one bit?
No, it's like get her done, right? It's just like, hey, it's like, right? It doesn't surprise me at all.
I I've also moved 4 times I've also lived on 4 military installations during that time. So
Well, I
why
think that,
why would we not be in almost 9 installations, right?
right? Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of people that isn't in the military might not realize that is, families are typically rotating, depending on, the, the spouse's requirement to move, but, everywhere from could be 2 years to 4 years in one duty location, or maybe even sooner, right? And so, as far as families having to relocate, and then in your case, starting up a nonprofit on one installation, and then oh, by the way, we're moving again. We got PCS. The next thing you
Yes.
know, it's yeah. Well, crazy. So if somebody's out there and said, hey, I live in, I don't know, Colorado, I would love to make a donation to the, the Fort Carson chapter, or just the overall movement of this, how can they do that?
Again, on our website, operationdeployyourdress.org, we've got a locations page that you can click on the location specifically, and it'll take you to our Facebook page that you can message us directly, or you can send an email just to our general Operation Deploy Your Dress email from that website, and we will get you set up.
Well, and there is an associated cost with doing what you guys do. We want to make that clear. Is this because you guys, yes, the installation commanders are giving permission to use a facility of some sort, and you're getting free dresses, but at the same time, doing what you guys do, there is an associated cost, correct?
There is, yes. So how we actually get onto the installations is we partner with the spouses clubs who already have the permission to operate on those installations, and they take us in as a program that their club offers.
Sure.
So that's great, and that helps out tremendously. We wouldn't be able to have grown as quickly as we have without those spouses clubs, and it's a great partnership. We love working with them. But yeah, giving away free dresses isn't free. Right. So it does cost a little bit of money. It doesn't cost a lot, but it does cost a little bit of money. So we are constantly looking for grants and fundraising opportunities so that we can continue to do what we do and do it well.
Well, that's so exciting. And, and I really hope that there's somebody out there, not only in another branch that's potentially listening to this, or other facilities, that is really motivated to reach out and either get the ball rolling for somebody else or for themselves, whatever the case is. Or, also that donor, right? Because you guys rely on your funding comes from. Now, do you guys do fundraisers as well locally for different chapters, or does it primarily come from donors?
It primarily comes from donors at the national level. And we've done a couple of Giving Tuesday type of things, and we've done some small, like I said, some grants and a pitch contest. I did a pitch contest back in September and won some money that way and stuff. So we've not done any smaller local fundraising though.
Okay, no. Like bake sales or car washes or or smaller things, but right. Okay, so very cool. But if you guys haven't had the chance, please go out to their website, check that out. And obviously, if somebody is hearing this for the first time as a spouse, or maybe they're a military member and be like, look at that, there's an opportunity for my wife to, potentially go find this resource on base and get a dress for this function. How would they do that as well? Is that all through your website?
That is on our website as well. Like I said, there's a locations page, so you can click on it, and it's a full map, and you can see where all the locations are. We have a Facebook page for each individual location, so that you can contact that location and see what their hours are and how you can get in and get a dress. And so, yeah, it's very easy to get in touch with that specific location once you know which one you need.
Okay, very cool. Well, my guest today, Yvonne Coombes, the founder of Operation Deploy Your Dress. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for being a guest on the Red, White, and New Show. It's been an honor and a privilege. And once again, thank you for your service. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, continue doing what you're doing. You're changing lives one dress at a time.
Thank you, Dean, for having me. It was so nice to meet you.
You bet.